สนับสนุนโดยกรุงเทพประกันภัยให้คุณเต็มกว่าความคุ้มครองและใจมากกว่าการให้มากกว่าความผูกพันความรู้สึกดีๆที่มีให้กันทุกวันเปปทีนของขวัญที่ส่งถึงกันได้ทุกวันกิฟฟรีน Gifts for Life เรารู้จักเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ดีกว่าใครธนาคาร CIMB ไทยรุดหน้าสู่อนาคต
ส่วนอีกคนหนึ่งที่น่าสนใจค่ะก็คือมาร์ค โมเบียสนะคะถ้าเกิดว่าใครได้ยินชื่อก็อาจจะร้องอ๋อก็ได้เพราะว่าชื่อนี้เขาเป็นกูรูด้านการลงทุนในตลาดเกิดใหม่ทั่วโลกค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นมุมมองของเขาเกี่ยวกับเมืองไทยน่าสนใจนะคะโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งในการที่เขาบอกเลยนะคะว่าทุกวันนี้เนี่ยตลาดเกิดใหม่น่าสนใจหลายแห่งในโลกแล้วเมืองไทยเนี่ยควรจะทำอะไรมีตรงไหนเด่นตรงไหนที่จะต้องปรับปรุงไปมากกว่านี้ก็เป็นอีกหนึ่งมุมมองที่น่าฟังค่ะ Mark, where are we right now in terms of global economic recovery? Are we fully recovered yet?
No, we're not fully recovered, but we're up substantially. You must remember, 2009 was a very bad year. Everything was down, earnings were down, prices were down, and so forth.Now prices are up. So if you compare where we are now compared to 2009, there's been a big increase. However, we're not back to where we were in 2007. So we've got a ways to go. And we will get there. The economies in the world are recovering. People are now reforming. There's lots of money being pumped into the system by governments around the world. And so we're well on the way.How
well is the U.S. doing these days?
The U.S. is doing better, but unfortunately the policies by the U.S. government are holding back real reform and change, and that is a little bit of worry.
China has become the world's second largest economy. How has that helped with the global economic recovery?
It's helped a lot because China is a big importer.You know, a lot of people think of China as an exporter, but they're a big importer. And in fact, Asian countries export more to China than they import from China. So this has been a very, very good thing for Asia, yes.
Okay. What about Japan? What is so wrong with the economy? They seem to be sluggish for the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's sluggish because there hasn't been much inflation and prices have not moved very much.But you must remember, Japan continues to be a huge economy, and as a result of exports to China and investments in China, Japan is going to do quite well.
A lot has been said about how we should strengthen rules and regulations in order to prevent all the economic crisis that happened in the past. How far have we achieved on this front?
You mean here or
in the U.S. globally?
Not much.Not much has been done, unfortunately. I personally think it would be better if the U.S., for example, had gone back to the Glass-Steagall Act to prevent banks from getting involved in any kinds of trading, proprietary trading, and not being allowed to pass off their loans to others. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So we have to expect in the future.crises again.
That was exactly what I was about to ask you. So we can have more or less the same type, the same causes of crisis again.
Yeah, because you must remember, derivatives now globally are valued at $600 trillion. That's 10 times more than the total GDP of the world. So given the size of the derivatives, you can imagine what impact they could have if things turn badly.And of course, there's leverage as well, substantial leverage, which can also cause havoc.
A lot has been said about the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. How big are these economies really?
They're big and growing. The important thing is that they're not as big as the U.S., but they're growing at a faster pace. So you're going to see these countries becoming much, much more important going forward.Which
country is the more interesting one among the BRIC countries for you?
Well, they're all interesting because we're finding incredible bargains in Russia, in India, in China, and also in Brazil. So I don't necessarily favor one or the other. It just so happens because of price movements, Brazil is the biggest in our portfolio, followed by China, but doesn't mean that I favor Brazil over Russia or over India or China.
But what are your criteria, though, when you pick which country would be interesting to look at, to invest in?
We look at the companies first. We don't look at the country. We look at companies first to see how these companies are doing, and then we go out and we learn more about the country. So, for example, let's say we visit a company and we look at the balance sheet, and we see their interest payments are very high. Why is that? Oh, interest rates are high. Oh, why is that? Inflation is high. Okay, what's the government policy and so forth. So we begin to get a bigger picture of the economy.
What are the average return for emerging markets compared to developed markets?
Depends on which year you're talking about. Last year, the average was over 80%. Over the long term, developed countries' average return might be 4%, and emerging markets maybe 10, something like that.
What's your take on Asian economy in general?
Asian economies are doing very, very well because of China. China's growth is pulling tremendous drawing power to the other Asian countries, and also Asian countries are dynamic and growing any case on their own.
What about India compared to China?
India is going to be as big, if not bigger than China, because they have a younger population. If you look at the population pyramid, you see the younger age group in that pyramid is very big in India, whereas in China it's more of a bulge, with the middle, the 20, 30-year-olds, the biggest groups. So that's a more aging population, and going forward, India will probably be bigger because of the younger population.
Talking about emerging markets, there's so many regions in the world right now. Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, Asia. Which region is more interesting to you?
They're all interesting. We don't have any favorites, really, because, see, prices are changing on a daily basis. Tomorrow, prices may have crashed in Brazil, and Brazil becomes interesting. Next day, China may go down, then we go there. So it depends on where your limits are and what's happening to prices.
How well is Thailand doing?
Thailand is good. They've got a lot of good companies. So we continue to invest here.
How much has the political crisis affect Thailand's outlook or potential?
Not much, because
Really?
most investors have looked beyond that and see recovery in the economy.
How does Thailand compare to other countries in the region, in Southeast Asia?
Very well. It compares very well. Very dynamic. Good agriculture, of course, good agricultural base, and a good industrial base as well. Labor is relatively inexpensive and skilled. So I would say Thailand compares very favorably.
Anything we should improve on?
Yes, of course, bureaucracy has got to be reduced. And the bureaucrats that stay should be better paid, so that they're not tempted by corruption.